Somewhere in the last 24 hours, a woman checked you out. Not in a movie, not in a fantasy, in your actual life. At the grocery store, at the gym, walking past you on the street, sitting across from you at the coffee shop. She looked at you. Her eyes moved across your body, your face, your hands, your posture. She took you in, evaluated you, felt something. And you had absolutely no idea it happened. Because women don't check men out the way men check women out. It's not the same behavior, not even close. When a man finds a woman attractive, he stares. Directly, obviously, sometimes embarrassingly. The male gaze is a spotlight, blunt, bright, impossible to miss. The female gaze is a laser guided in the dark, precise, intentional, and designed to be invisible. She looks when you're not looking. She evaluates in fragments, not in long stares. She gathers information about you in half-second glances so fast and so discreet that you could be standing 3 feet away and miss every single one. This is by design, evolutionary design. A woman who openly stared at every man she found attractive would signal availability indiscriminately. That's a vulnerability her biology won't tolerate. So instead, she developed a system of covert evaluation so sophisticated, so efficient, that modern research in eye-tracking technology has only recently been able to document what women have been doing instinctively for thousands of years. They're looking. They've always been looking. You just never learned what their looking looks like. That changes today. 8 subtle signs that a woman is checking you out. Some of these happen in less than a second. Some happen across an entire room. All of them are real, documented, and happening around you far more often than you think. And sign number 6 is the one that's going to rewire your brain. Because it's the signal she sends after she's already decided she's attracted. The one that most men interpret as disinterest, when it's the exact opposite. Sign 1, the snapshot glance. Let's start with the most basic unit of female visual evaluation. The glance that lasts less than 1 second. Literally. Eye-tracking studies have clocked it between 0.3 and 0.8 seconds. A fraction of a moment. A blink-length window of attention that captures more data than you'd think possible in so short a time. She's walking toward you on the sidewalk. Her eyes are forward. Her expression is neutral. And in the half-second before she passes you, her gaze shifts. Down, across, up. A rapid 3-point scan that takes in your body, your face, and your overall silhouette in one fluid motion so fast, it looks like she never looked at all. That's the snapshot glance. And it is the single most common way women check men out. Not the long, lingering gaze, not the obvious double take. A micro-evaluation so brief and so seamless that the man on the receiving end almost never registers it. Research in visual attention has shown that humans can extract an enormous amount of information from a single brief glance. Facial symmetry, body proportionality, grooming, posture, perceived confidence, health markers. All of it processed in under a second by a brain that's been running these evaluations automatically since puberty. She saw you, she assessed you, and she did it so fast, you thought she was looking at her phone. Here's how to start catching it. Stop watching for long stares. Start watching for the micro movement. The brief lateral eye shift as she walks past. The momentary downward flick when you're standing in line ahead of her. The quick sweep that happens in the split second before she casually looks away. These are the real evaluations, and they're happening dozens of times a day in every public space you occupy. You've been waiting for the obvious look. She's been giving you the invisible one. Time to adjust your resolution. Sign 2, the peripheral monitor. This one happens when she's already noticed you and wants to continue observing without being detected. And it's one of the most fascinating behavioral adaptations in female social cognition. She's not looking at you. Her head is oriented in a different direction. She's talking to a friend, scrolling her phone, apparently absorbed in something that has nothing to do with you. But her awareness is locked onto your position like a satellite tracking a signal. This is peripheral monitoring. The use of peripheral vision to maintain visual contact with a target without direct eye orientation. And women are significantly better at it than men. Research in visual cognition has shown that women have wider functional peripheral vision than men. They can process visual information from a broader field without moving their eyes or head. This isn't cultural, it's neurological. The female visual system evolved to monitor wider environments, likely as an adaptation for tracking multiple children, assessing social dynamics, and evaluating potential mates, all without drawing attention to the act of observation. In practical terms, this means a woman can be looking at her phone while simultaneously tracking your movements across the room. She can be talking to her friend while monitoring whether you're moving closer or farther away. She can appear completely disengaged from your existence while her visual system is feeding her a constant stream of data about where you are, what you're doing, and who you're talking to. How do you know it's happening? Watch for the head turn when you move. If you change positions in a room and she adjusts her orientation slightly, even if she's still not looking directly at you, her peripheral system just recalibrated. She repositioned her field of vision to keep you in it. That's not coincidence. That's surveillance, disguised as indifference. Another tell. She's looking at her phone, but the phone hasn't changed. The screen is static. Her thumb isn't scrolling. She's using the phone as a prop, a socially acceptable object to stare at, while her peripheral vision does the real work of watching you. She's been monitoring you this whole time. She's just better at it than you are at catching it. Sign 3. The evaluation sequence. When a woman moves past the snapshot glance and into genuine assessment, her visual behavior follows a specific pattern that's been documented across multiple studies in nonverbal communication. I call it the evaluation sequence. And once you understand its structure, you'll recognize it everywhere. The sequence has 3 stages. Stage 1 is the face scan. She looks at your face first. Eyes, jaw, mouth. She's assessing facial symmetry, grooming, and expression. This is the gateway evaluation. If the face doesn't pass, the sequence typically ends here. Stage 2 is the body sweep. Her gaze drops from your face and moves downward. Shoulders, chest, arms, torso. She's evaluating physical health markers, posture, and proportionality. This is where body language matters enormously. A man who stands upright with open, relaxed shoulders will score dramatically higher in this phase than a man with identical physical features who slouches, crosses his arms, or holds tension in his frame. Stage 3 is the return. Her eyes come back up to your face. This is the critical stage. Because if she stops at stage 2 and looks away, she evaluated and dismissed. But if she completes the full circuit and her gaze returns to your face, she liked what she saw on the way down, and she's coming back for a second read of the feature she started with. The full sequence, face to body and back to face, is the complete evaluation, and it means you passed every checkpoint along the way. Now here's the detail that makes this actionable. The evaluation sequence usually happens when the woman believes she's unobserved. She does it when you're looking somewhere else, when you're in conversation with someone, when you're focused on your phone. She times it for the moments when your attention is directed away from her, so she can conduct the full assessment without risking eye contact, which means the only way to catch it is to be watching without appearing to watch. Peripheral awareness works both ways. If you develop the habit of monitoring your environment with soft focus rather than tunnel vision, you'll start catching evaluation sequences that were previously invisible to you. The woman at the next table whose eyes swept your frame while you were looking at the menu. The woman at the gym whose gaze tracked you across the room while you were mid-set. The woman on the subway whose eyes ran the full sequence in the 3 seconds you were looking at the map. They're evaluating constantly. You're just not catching the exam because you don't know when it's being administered. Sign 4. The double take she thinks you didn't see. The snapshot glance is fast, covert, designed for deniability. But sometimes, the data collected in that first glance is compelling enough that her brain demands a second sample, and that's when the double take happens. She looked once, looked away, and then, within 1 to 3 seconds, looked again. The second look is the tell, because the first look could have been random, a reflexive eye movement, an accidental sweep. The brain does thousands of these per day without conscious direction, but the second look is a choice. Her conscious mind reviewed the data from the first glance and decided it needed more information. More time with the stimulus, more exposure to whatever it was about you that registered as worth a second investment of attention. The female double take is nothing like the male double take. When a man does a double take, it's obvious. Head turns, eyes widen. Sometimes, the entire body reorients. It's a reflex with no subtlety whatsoever. When a woman double takes, it's almost invisible. The second look comes disguised as something else. A glance at the clock on the wall behind you. A scan of the menu above your head. A look toward the door that just happens to cross your position on the way. She builds a cover story for the second look in real time, creating a plausible visual destination that allows her eyes to pass over you again without appearing intentional. But the timing betrays her. 1 to 3 seconds after the first glance. That's the window. If you catch a woman's eyes moving in your direction twice within that window, the second time with a manufactured trajectory that just happens to include you, that's a double take. She's seen something she likes, and her brain is requesting additional data. Here's a subtlety within the subtlety. Pay attention to what happens on her face between the first and second look. In that brief interlude, you'll sometimes catch a micro-expression, a slight parting of the lips, a barely perceptible softening around the eyes, a fractional tilt of the head. These are involuntary aesthetic appreciation responses. Her face reacting to the data before her social mask can reassert control. If you catch that micro-expression between looks 1 and 2, you're not just seeing a double take. You're seeing a woman who was genuinely struck by what she saw, and she has no idea you noticed any of it. Sign: the strategic positioning. This sign moves beyond looking and into doing. Because sometimes a woman's attraction to a man she's observed triggers a behavioral response that goes beyond visual evaluation. It triggers movement. Physical, spatial, deliberate movement, designed to optimize her position relative to yours. She was across the room. Now, she's closer. She was facing a different direction. Now her body is angled toward you. She was in a group on the far side of the bar. Now she's ordering a drink 2 stools away. Strategic positioning is what happens when a woman has completed her visual assessment, determined that she's attracted, and begins the next phase of the process, making herself available for contact. She can't approach you directly. Social convention, evolutionary psychology, and personal risk management all argue against it. But she can put herself in your proximity. She can reduce the distance between you to a range where interaction becomes possible, even probable. Where all you'd need to do is turn your head, notice her, and say something. This is the female equivalent of an approach. Not a verbal approach, a spatial one. She's approaching you with her body position while maintaining the deniability that comes with never having technically walked up to you. She just happened to end up nearby. Just happened to need a drink from the bar closest to where you're standing. Just happened to find a spot that puts her directly in your line of sight. The sophistication of this behavior is remarkable. Research on proxemics, the study of human spatial behavior, has shown that women adjust their interpersonal distance with far more precision than men. They calibrate closeness to communicate interest, while maintaining enough separation to preserve deniability. It's a spatial negotiation that happens in real time, with adjustments based on your responses, the social environment, and her ongoing assessment of risk versus reward. If you notice a woman who wasn't near you is now near you, and there's no logistical explanation that fully accounts for the change, she positioned herself there for you, not randomly, not coincidentally, deliberately. The approach already happened. You just didn't recognize it because it didn't come with words. Sign 6. The look away that isn't rejection. This is the one I told you would rewire your understanding. Because this sign is the most commonly misinterpreted signal in male-female dynamics. And the misinterpretation costs men more missed connections than any other single error in social perception. You catch her looking at you. Your eyes meet, and she immediately looks away. Fast, almost startled, down and to the side, like she's been caught doing something she wasn't supposed to be doing. And most men interpret this as disinterest. She looked away. She doesn't want to make eye contact. She's not interested. So they dismiss it, move on, never think about it again. That interpretation is catastrophically wrong. When a woman is caught looking at a man she finds attractive, the look away is not rejection, it's embarrassment. It's the involuntary response of a person who was doing something private, evaluating you, and was unexpectedly discovered in the act. The rapid aversion is her social brain taking emergency action. He caught me looking. Look away. Now. Before he realizes, I was staring. The critical diagnostic is direction. If she looks away to the side with a flat expression, that's neutral. She may genuinely have been looking past you. But if she looks down, particularly down and to the left or right, often accompanied by a suppressed smile or a slight color change on her cheeks or neck, that is an attraction response. The downward look is a submission signal in primate behavior, indicating vulnerability and acknowledged attraction. The suppressed smile is her emotional state leaking through her attempt to appear composed. The blush, if present, is the involuntary cardiovascular response that no human being on earth can consciously control. Now here's the part that should change everything. What happens after the look away is the most important data point in this entire sequence. Wait 5 to 15 seconds. If she looks back at you within that window, the signal is confirmed. She looked. She got caught. She looked away in embarrassment. And then her attraction overrode her embarrassment and pulled her eyes back to you. That's the complete cycle. And it's one of the most reliable indicators of genuine attraction in all of nonverbal communication. The tragedy is that most men never wait for the return look. They see the initial look away, categorize it as rejection, and redirect their attention elsewhere. By the time she works up the courage to look back, he's already gone. Already looking at his phone, already mentally checked out of the interaction before it even began. She didn't reject you. She was embarrassed that you caught her admiring you. Those are fundamentally different things. And confusing the two has been costing you opportunities you'll never even know you had. Sign 7. The proxy signal. This is the sign that happens through other people, and it reveals a layer of female social behavior that most men are entirely unaware of. She doesn't look at you. She doesn't position herself near you. She doesn't touch you or talk to you. Instead, she does something to herself. Something designed not for her own benefit, but for yours. She adjusts her clothing, smooths her dress, touches her hair in a slow, deliberate way that has nothing to do with fixing it and everything to do with drawing attention to it. She tilts her head to expose her neck. She shifts her posture to elongate her silhouette. She applies lip gloss in your line of sight. She crosses her legs in a way that she knows creates a specific visual effect. These are proxy signals, behaviors directed at herself that are actually intended for you. She's not fixing her hair because it needs fixing. She's fixing it because you're watching, or because she wants you to watch. She's performing self-grooming behaviors that serve as an indirect display designed to make herself more visually prominent in your field of attention. This is one of the most ancient forms of mate attraction behavior. Primates. Self-grooming displays in the presence of a potential mate have been documented across species for decades. In humans, the behaviors are more refined, but the function is identical. She's not beautifying herself for abstract reasons. She's beautifying herself for a specific audience, you. And here's the diagnostic that separates deliberate proxy signaling from normal grooming behavior: timing. If she adjusts her hair, her clothing, or her posture within seconds of you entering her visual field, or within seconds of making eye contact with you, the grooming is triggered by your presence. It's a reflexive response to being observed by someone she wants to look good for. If the same behaviors happen randomly, with no correlation to your position or attention, they're just grooming. But if you notice a pattern where her self-adjustment behaviors cluster around your arrivals, your glances, and your proximity, she's performing for you. And the performance is her way of saying, without words, without direct eye contact, without any behavior that could be labeled as pursuit, look at me. I want you to look at me. And I want you to like what you see. Sign 8. The environment scan that always ends on you. This is the final sign, the most sophisticated, and the one that requires the most awareness to detect. She enters a room, a restaurant, a bar, a gym, a coffee shop, any shared environment, and in the first few seconds, she scans. This is normal. Everyone does it. We enter new spaces and our eyes sweep the environment to orient ourselves, assess threats, find friends, identify exits. It's basic human spatial behavior. But watch where her scan ends. A neutral environmental scan is random. It moves across the room with no particular destination and settles wherever it happens to stop. A scan driven by attraction has a destination. It sweeps the room like it's looking for something, and then locks, briefly but definitively, on a specific target. And if that target is you, every seemingly random eye movement that preceded it was actually navigation. Her visual system was mapping the room to find you, and the moment it did, the scan ended. Objective achieved. This is most visible in environments where she knows you'll be. A regular coffee shop you both frequent, a gym you both attend, a workplace, a social gathering where your presence was expected. She walks in and scans, and within the first 3 seconds, her eyes find you. Not because you're the most prominent object in the room, because you're the object her brain was searching for before her conscious mind acknowledged it. And here's the advanced layer. What happens after her scan finds you is the secondary signal. If she finds you and immediately looks away, she was checking if you were there, confirming your presence, establishing your location so her peripheral monitoring system can take over. If she finds you and holds for a beat, even half a second, she was looking for you and was pleased to find you. The hold is satisfaction, the brief pause of a search that found what it was looking for. If she finds you and then visibly adjusts, straightens her posture, touches her hair, changes her trajectory to move closer, you've just witnessed the entire chain in real time. Scan, locate, confirm, adjust, approach. A complete behavioral sequence triggered by your presence and executed within seconds of entering the room. She was looking for you before she knew she was looking for you. Her brain found you before her mind could pretend it wasn't searching. That's not coincidence. That's priority. You are a priority in her visual hierarchy. And she walks into rooms already scanning for the one thing her attention wants most. You. I want you to try something. Tomorrow, not next week. Tomorrow. Go to a public place, a coffee shop, a bookstore, a park, a gym, anywhere you'll be around women in a normal, everyday context. And instead of existing in your usual tunnel of self-focused attention, I want you to expand your awareness, soften your gaze, widen your perception. Stop looking at the world and start watching it. Watch the micro-movements, the half-second glances, the peripheral monitors, the evaluation sequences that happen while you're not looking, the double takes disguised as random eye movements, the strategic repositioning that brings someone closer without explanation, the look away that you used to think was rejection, the proxy grooming that clusters suspiciously around your arrivals, the environmental scans that always seem to end in the same place. You're going to see things you've never seen before, not because they're new, because they've been happening your entire life, and you've been blind to them. Every grocery store trip, every morning commute, every gym session, every social gathering. Women have been looking at you, evaluating you, positioning themselves near you, and sending signals that your untrained eyes filtered out as background noise. That noise was never noise, it was data. It was information about your own attractiveness that was being broadcast to you constantly by the very people whose opinion you've been desperate to know. And you missed it. Not because you're unobservant, because you were looking for the wrong thing. You were looking for the spotlight when you should have been looking for the laser. Now you know what the laser looks like. Now you know where to find it. And now you know that the world has been paying attention to you in ways that you're only just beginning to understand. The question was never, do women find me attractive? The question was always, am I seeing what's already happening around me? And starting tomorrow, the answer to that question changes permanently. If this video just shifted your perception of your own reality, subscribe. This channel is for men who want to see the world clearly. Not through fantasy, not through wishful thinking, through trained, precise, psychologically informed observation that reveals what's actually happening in the spaces between people. Drop a comment and tell me where you think you've been missing these signals the most. The gym, the office, the coffee shop, public transit. I want to know where your blind spot lives, because once you identify